Marvel Studios dropped some absolute bombs to us at San Diego Comic-Con during their panel, including Phase 6 of the MCU. We thought it was crazy enough they revealed Phase 5, but then they reveal Phase 6, but only parts of it. So they obviously confirm it kicks off with Fantastic Four, which obviously we're so excited for, but it ends with two Avengers movies, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. But what else? So this past week, since the big reveals, everybody's been theorizing about, okay, what are these other projects that are going to take place during Phase 6 of the MCU? Because Kevin Feige teased them. He was like, we have some other projects here, we have some other dates here, but we're not going to talk about those yet. I have a pretty good feeling they're going to most likely reveal those during D23 in like a month-ish from now. It's in September. So that's going to be super exciting. But for now, we can theorize and kind of try and predict what these projects are going to be. And me personally, I wasn't really planning on doing a predictions video of, Phase 6 project predictions and, all that stuff. But then I saw this, which don't jump to any conclusions about this being like a leaked slate or anything like this. This 100% is a fan-made Phase 6 slate that I found on Reddit that I just thought looked pretty cool. And honestly, I think is pretty realistic to what we may actually be seeing. Because, when I thought about doing a predictions video, I was like, there's so many ways that this can go. I don't really know, like, how, I didn't really know how to go about doing it. But this right here, basically, I'm going to use this to show my predictions. Because I agree pretty thoroughly with what is shown here on display in this Phase 6 slate. So we're going to go through this and break it down and talk about how accurate I think this is. Because, honestly, it might not be 100% exactly like this, but I feel like when Kevin Feige does officially reveal Phase 6, it will look pretty darn similar to what we're seeing on this list. So anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this, break down Phase 6 of the MCU according to this fan-done design. Starting off with, of course, Fantastic Four. Again, we already know about that. That was confirmed at San Diego Comic-Con for November of 2024. That is super exciting. The kickoff movie to Phase 6 of the MCU. But what about these Disney Plus series? Like, for example, Marvel Studios' Armor Wars. This is one I talked about the other day because it was completely absent from the panel at San Diego Comic-Con, which is weird because this series was announced during the Disney Investor Day back in 2020, December of 2020. So this series was announced at the same time as things like Secret Invasion and way before Echo and way before a lot of these other projects that are coming out before this. So it was kind of confusing of like, where did Armor Wars go? Now, the writer did confirm on social media that the project is still in development. They're still doing Armor Wars, which I'm super excited for because it's going to be like an Iron Man series, but without Iron Man and putting more of the focus on Don Cheadle's James Rhodey Rhodes, which of course I'm super excited for because he's been there since the beginning of the MCU, but to be honest, we don't really know much about his character, so this is really going to give us a new appreciation for War Machine and hopefully the whole world of Iron Man now that Tony Stark is gone, and hopefully we get some cool Iron Man villains like maybe a Titanium Man in here, a Crimson Dynamo. This would be a great place for Riri Williams to pop up as Ironheart as well. So Armor Wars is something I'm really excited for, and for this to be the first Disney Plus series of Phase 6, I think makes a lot of sense just considering that this was announced such a long time ago, so it should be one of the first of Phase 6. Now, what about Marvel Studios' Okoye? Now, this is one that hasn't been officially announced by Kevin Feige himself, but it was confirmed by Deadline and Variety and all the big trades in Hollywood that Ryan Coogler is developing a Black Panther spin-off for Disney Plus, and Denai Guerrero would be starring in it as Okoye. Now, there hasn't been many details on this project since then, so we don't really know much of what it's about, but we can kind of assume, okay, it's an Okoye Disney Plus series. It's going to be exploring Wakanda, probably putting the focus on the Dora Milaje, which I think is pretty cool because the Dora Milaje are so badass. So to see them possibly get to see how people become Dora Milaje, what kind of training they go through and all that stuff is something I'm really excited for, and it would make sense for this to be kind of early on in Phase 6. Now, what about the next Spider-Man movie? Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal, they confirmed Spider-Man 4 is happening with Tom Holland, but Tom Holland has said, he wants to take a break from acting. It's going to be a while before we get the new Spider-Man movie. So for this slate to say it's coming in, I think it said 2024. Maybe it was early to, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like December or winter 2024. I kind of doubt that. I like really, really doubt that because that is 2 years from now, and I mean 2 years isn't really much of a break for Tom Holland. I mean, it was 2 years in between all the other MCU Spider-Man movies, so I feel like it'll be a longer wait than that. And I am also hoping that we get the next Spider-Man movie back to the summer date because I love that with Homecoming and Far From Home getting that nice, sweet July release date because I feel like these Spider-Man movies, just the whole vibe, it just fits better within summer, unless they do something like what we got a little bit of a glimpse of at the end of No Way Home and have it be set during Christmas, which that little glimpse of it at the end of No Way Home with him in his classic suit swinging around as it's snowing in New York City, that was beautiful. I would love to get a whole movie like that, but if not, I would prefer a summer release date. And The Spectacular Spider-Man, I think, is a great title. I believe this one said like The Spectacular Spider-Man, A Family Business. I don't know if they'll go into that, but we do know that Spider-Man is now going to be a street level character for real this time going forward in the MCU. Kevin Feige confirmed it, so that's something I'm really excited for going forward. Now, next up, we have The Young Avengers, but not as a movie, actually a Disney Plus series, which I also agree with because a lot of people were confused why this wasn't touched on during San Diego Comic-Con. You know, they officially announced Thunderbolts as a movie coming in July of 2024, but nothing on Young Avengers, which is weird because the Thunderbolts and the Young Avengers were two teams that we kind of heard about at the same time, like right after Endgame. They're like, okay, these two teams are being developed, they're coming to the MCU, and honestly, looking at it, I think we've had more set up for Young Avengers, at least when it comes to members in the MCU so far, than we have with Thunderbolts. I mean, we've had characters like now America Chavez, Ms. Marvel, we have Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, we have both Tommy and Billy, aka Wiccan and Speed from WandaVision. Hopefully they grow up at some point. We have Eli Bradley, aka Patriot from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have hopefully maybe Kid Loki. We have Stature coming up in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Riri Williams, aka Ironheart in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and also her own Disney Plus series. So we know the Young Avengers are coming, and I feel like because the majority of these characters were introduced on Disney Plus, maybe we'll be getting a Disney Plus series, and especially considering how we're going to be getting more Avengers movies, maybe doing a Young Avengers movie would just kind of, you know, get confusing, at least for the general audience. You know, Kevin Feige likes to keep things simple, especially for people that are fans of just the MCU, not necessarily comics. Just keep it simple. So maybe make a Young Avengers Disney Plus series rather than a movie, which honestly, I mean, we've seen that the series, at least, you know, not really recently, but at least going back to like the WandaVision and Loki days, that, you know, a series is like a 6-hour movie, so you can tell more story, and especially with these types of characters where they're newer, they're younger, there's more to talk about with these characters. I feel like a series would fit better for the Young Avengers in the MCU. Now, Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. So Shang-Chi 2 was confirmed. We are getting a sequel. Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of the first film, will be returning to direct this, as well as Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. So that's super exciting. But when it comes to the title and the Wreckage of Time, this is something that was revealed actually last Friday. Some official trademarks were popping up. The Marvel Studios trademarked these specific title. It did a whole video breaking it down. Definitely make sure to check out that one. It's quite a long one because I go pretty in depth, and who knows, this might be a long one as well. We'll see how it goes. But Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time, I still don't know exactly what this means, but I am assuming since it takes place in the multiverse saga, it is probably and most likely going to tie into everything that's going on with Kang, because Kang deals with time and the multiverse, and seeing how Shang-Chi ended with Shang-Chi going off with Wong and kind of the de facto Avengers that are left on Earth from that post-credit scene, this could be something that could be a pretty big movie going forward in Phase 6 to set up the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars as well, which I'm really excited for. Shang-Chi 2, I love that first movie, so I'm really excited to see the sequel. Hopefully we get, you know, maybe an Eternals 2 at some point in here as well. That's nowhere on the slate, but, you know, hopefully. Nova. Marvel Studios' Nova was also confirmed recently. Again, Deadline, all the trades reported that this is a movie that Marvel Studios is officially developing. It hasn't been officially announced by Kevin Feige, but I'm definitely really excited for it. There's been rumors maybe Ryan Gosling could be playing Richard Rider, aka Nova. I think that would be pretty awesome. But this slate lists it specifically as a Disney Plus series. I do think it would be cool to do a Disney Plus series, but I feel like, especially if you have an actor like Ryan Gosling, he'd much rather do a movie. And I feel like Nova could hold a movie. I think Nova might do better with a movie. And this would, of course, kind of spin off of what we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one with Xandar, all that stuff going on there, what was referenced in Infinity War with Thanos decimating Xandar to get the Power Stone. So that could be a really cool story explored in this movie, again, or series. So Nova is something I'm really excited for. He's such a powerful character and hopefully could maybe even become a member of the new Guardians of the Galaxy post Volume 3. Then that, of course, leads into Marvel Studios' Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which, again, this was officially announced at San Diego Comic-Con. We know it's happening. Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of ShangChi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, is returning to direct this film. It's going to be super exciting. It's going to be, at least as far as we're assuming, a two-part Avengers storyline. But what about in between that? Because, when we got Infinity War and Endgame, sure, Infinity War ended with literally half the planet dying, but we still got other movies in between there with both Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp, just regular, Quantumania's Phase 5, but we got Ant-Man and the Wasp and also Captain Marvel, because those took place at different times. Ant-Man and the Wasp took place at like the same time as Infinity War and then tied into that, and then we had Captain Marvel, which just took place in the 90s, but still, it would be really cool to get some projects in between here, but obviously it would be kind of hard to do, especially if what we're assuming at the end of the Kang Dynasty, it sets up Battleworld, which of course is when the multiverse is just melded together all into this one giant planet, which is just a mishmash of all these different parts of the multiverse. So how could you really do movies and series in between there? Well, this is how. So actually, I guess apparently put these in the wrong order, so we'll just skip over this real quick. But Doctor Strange in the Dark Dimension of Insanity. We got this set up at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the post-credit scene, with Clea, played by Charlize Theron, showing up, saying that he caused an incursion, so they gotta go solve this problem. And because this takes place in the Dark Dimension, we're still not exactly sure how exactly that works. Like, would the Dark Dimension be outside of the multiverse? Is there just one dark dimension for the whole multiverse, or is it multiple dark dimensions? I don't know exactly how that would work, but if Battleworld does happen, this is the type of movie I could see happening in between, because it would take place for the majority in the dark dimension, at least based off what's been set up. And so that would be really cool to kind of explain why Doctor Strange maybe isn't there during the Kang Dynasty, because he's technically not an Avenger. And then it would be pretty cool as well if then at the end of this movie he exits the dark dimension, the day is saved, or so he thinks, because then when he exits, all of a sudden they're on Battleworld and everything they did to save the world, or the universe, or the multiverse, was for nothing. And then we have, speaking of Battleworld, a Battleworld Secret Wars Disney Plus series. Now, this is one that I am kind of doubtful will happen, but I would love so much if it did, because when it comes to Battleworld, again, it is literally a mishmash of all these different characters. So to see a whole Disney Plus series where it could maybe even be an anthology of seeing all these different parts and sections of Battleworld come together, it's such a cool concept that I think would be really, really perfect for this. I don't know exactly how far they would go into it with having like the big multiverse cameos in this, or just save that for the movie. But I feel like this would be a really cool way to, again, have something that takes place between the two movies without messing up continuity, and also would do a nice job of establishing what Battleworld is before we jump right into it with Avengers Secret Wars. So this, I think, again, would make perfect sense, and I really do hope we get this. But out of all the projects on this list, this is the one that I am kind of doubtful about. And also, I'm pretty sure everything else on this list has been officially confirmed as projects that are in development. This is the only one that's kind of a hypothetical, but again, it's pretty good hypothetical, and I really do hope that it ends up happening. So like I said, then that would lead into Avengers Secret Wars to conclude Phase 6 of the MCU and the Multiverse Saga. So guys, again, that's kind of my basic predictions for Marvel Studios Phase 6 of the MCU and what could possibly be revealed at D23 in September. There's of course some other projects that have been rumored and actually some officially announced, like for example the Wonder Man Disney Plus series. That's something that could happen, be squeezed in here somewhere as well. Kevin Feige actually said that they didn't even announce all of Phase 5, so there's still some other projects that could be out in Phase 5 as well. Maybe get a Ghost Rider project in here. A Scarlet Witch solo movie has been rumored for a while as well. Maybe the Annihilators, which of course has been rumored to be the new Guardians the Galaxy post Volume 3, so whether that's a movie or series, that could be squeezed in here somewhere. X-Men, I doubt it, because I actually just did a video on that the other day as well about rights issues. Apparently Marvel Studios won't be able to really use the X-Men until post 2025, which would be after Phase 6 and after the Multiverse Saga, so that would be in Phase 7. So I doubt the X-Men or any sort of mutant stuff, maybe mutant setup, but not actual, like, big Wolverine and Cyclops and Storm and all those characters, I think will be saved for Phase 7, which could possibly be the Mutant Saga for all we know. But for now, guys, again, those are my predictions for Marvel Studios Phase 6 of the MCU, these unannounced projects that were teased during San Diego Comic-Con. But what do you think about this hypothetical slate for Phase 6 of the MCU? Do you agree with these projects? Which ones would you be most excited for? Or do you have any other theories? Let me know those in the comments below as well. But for now, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything goes on in the Marvel life.